Okay, there was so much Siege being played this past weekend, and the four things that I want to talk about in particular are the second qualifier for SCS Season 6, and then we have the first open qualifier for North America, as well as the first open qualifier for Europe, and then there was the regional final for LATAM, the Brasileira, between Team Liquid and Ninjas in Pajamas. So we'll start with SCS Split 1 qualifier number 2. So again, this was the second qualifier of 2, and it's the last one. So we now have it all set up for SCS. And actually today is December 6th, and today is the day that SCS Split 1 starts. So be sure to check that out. I'll show it at the very end. I think it starts at 1800 EST, which would be 6 o'clock Eastern time. So be sure to watch that. And again, I'll show you which matches those are at the end of the video. So right, since there was so much Siege being played over the course of the weekend, and then there was also other stuff, other games that I was watching, so I didn't get to watch a ton of this, but I looked over the results and whatnot. The four teams that qualified were In Control Nation, Soup, Okami, and Aerial Arise Academy. I find this a little bit surprising. None of these teams that qualified here were any of the runner-up teams from the previous qualifiers, so I think the runner-up teams, that would be the teams that came 5th through 8th last time, were Windstorm, Wichita Wolves Academy, Shadow Realm, and Goosick. And as you can see here, Wichita Wolves and Windstorm Academy, Wichita Wolves Academy, keep in mind, and Windstorm came runner-up again. Goosick didn't even make it into the bracket, and then Shadow Realm, I'm not sure about them. Did they even enter again? I'm not sure. Anyways. 46 teams entered this one as opposed to, I think, 28 last time, so a lot more teams turned out. You'd think it'd be less teams, considering some number of teams already qualified from the first one, and maybe some teams got, a reality check. But for whatever reason, whether it be more people became aware of this one for some reason, or these dates just worked better for people, there were just a lot more people that played here. So, right, again, it was these teams. Okami I found maybe a little bit surprising given their, poor performance in CL Stage 3, and then also in the last qualifier, and then these other teams. I don't recall how well they did. I think Aerial Arise Academy did okay, and I'm not even sure about these ones. But again, it's these. So we'll take a look at the Swiss. Let's take a look at the Swiss numbers, and then we'll look at the bracket. So Windstorm and Wichita Wolves Academy. Again, the two runner-ups, and then probably two of the favorites for this. They did well in the Swiss, but they did not make it through the bracket. So, for them. And then also surprisingly, we had only one of the 6-2 teams, of which I think there were 5 of them here, right? It was only Soup that made it through their bracket, and then it was 3 of the 5-3 teams. So if you just saw these numbers going into the bracket, you might expect more of these teams to do well, but really it was more of the teams that didn't do so well in the Swiss that did well in the bracket for some reason. So again, it was Okami, Aerial Arise Academy, and In Control Nation, so these 3 teams, and then it was Soup right here. So interesting developments. Team Valkyrie was the only team that went 5-3 that didn't make it through on tie breaks. They probably were not too happy about that. 99 Burglars did a lot better in this qualifier than they did in the last one. I think they went 0-8 last time, although they went, I think, just 0-4 in the first day, and then they just dropped out, so they effectively forfeited the other 4. So not actually 0-8, but really they did go to 0-8. And then, as I mentioned before, Goosick was one of the better teams in the last qualifier, but they were not able to make it happen here. They couldn't make it through the Swiss. And just a few other teams that maybe I could mention, but nothing else coming to mind. And then we'll just look at the bracket really quickly. Not too much competition going on here in the way that Aerial Arise Academy didn't drop a map, Okami didn't drop a map in their brackets, and then Soup only dropped 1 map to Asylum Patients, and then In Control Nation only dropped 1 map to Wichita Wolves. So among the 4 teams that qualified, there were only 2 maps dropped, I suppose, out of a possible 8 dropped for this, because of course you can go 2-1, 2-1, and then that's you can do that 4 times because there's 4 teams. So 2 out of 8. Less than you'd expect, right? Probably 3, 4, 5, something you'd expect like that. But this just wasn't terribly fierce. Some teams, I don't know, just couldn't handle best of 3s, or they were getting burnt out by the end of this, or this or that, whatever it was. But again, congratulations to these teams, and we will be seeing them in action very soon, considering that, once again, it is today that SCS Season 6 begins. And let's move on to the North American qualifier here. So, right, 6 Invitational 2022 North American Open Qualifier number 1. So keep in mind there are 2 qualifiers for this region. it will fill out 4 teams for the closed qualifier, but each open qualifier only puts 1 team forward. 2 of the other teams in closed qualifier were auto-invited, auto-qualified, whatever. It's Mirage and TSM awaiting the other teams. And from this qualifier, it was Parabellum that made it through. Not terribly surprising. This had to be definitely one of the favorites. This will be their second SI appearance back-to-back. They were at SI 2021, and I think maybe they didn't shock the world, but they definitely put up a better fight than I think a lot of people expected them to. So we'll see what happens in the closed qualifier for them, and then at SI if they make it there. And it's entirely possible that they'll be going to 2 SIs back-to-back without being in Pro League at all. They are playing in the relegation match coming up this weekend against XSET, so if they lose that, they won't be in Pro League, but if they are, North American League, and if they win it, they will be in. So we'll see if they are going back-to-back at SIs as non-technical Tier 1 team. So it was One Shot that they took down in the final, and then FPL Queens and Aerial Rise made it to the semis. A lot of shocks here. If you were watching this, there were probably some surprising results. FPL Queens came out, and I think they did surprise everybody. Maybe not everybody. Maybe some people expected them to do what they did. And they said before the thing started that they weren't going to scrim or practice or anything, and they just wanted to come in, and they didn't expect to win, but they just wanted to make at least one big upset. And they very quickly did. They defeated Astralis, one of the 2 NAL teams that entered this bracket. Of course, the only 3 that have to enter the open qualifiers are Astralis, XSET, and Beast Coast. And for some reason, XSET didn't enter. I suppose maybe they just want to focus on their relegation match coming up. And okay, so Parabellum makes it all the way, and if you just trace their trajectory, it was pretty close. I mean, this wasn't especially close, but then they had a 7-5, a 7-5, and then a 2-1, and a 2-1. So they were not breezing through things by any means, as opposed to like FPL Queens, which had a 7-0 here. They had an 8-7 here, this was close, but then they had a 7-1 against Eclectic. This is one of the teams that made it through the first SCS qualifier, so no slouches. But then again, this was quite a shocker. This, if you can find the I don't know if it'll be maybe on YouTube, but probably on Twitch. I want to say it was on CDEP's stream. This was funny to listen to because of the people that were commentating on it, but then also it's just a crazy match to watch. I would recommend watching this one for sure. If for no other reason than the fact that Astralis got upset in round 2. So they'll have one more chance to make it, and we'll see what happens there. And then Aqualix, they were Gasher's Goons in the event. I don't know why they were under that banner rather than Aqualix, but they're Aqualix here, and they got 7-0'd by FPL Queens. And I suppose I should tell you who this is. FPL Queens was Yardy/Rip that same guy, but you might know him as one name or the other. And then Slashug formerly played for like Rogue and Reciprocity, Twist, and Barring, and Rudy. And Rudy played on Beast Coast before, and then Twist is like a T2 player, and I suppose so was Barring. And yeah, they just made some upsets. And I think after this, Yardy said that he is looking for a team specifically for Pro League, doesn't want to play Challenger League again. And then like Slashug has been looking for a team for Tier 1 or Tier 2, and then the other guys might even as well. I think Twist might be on a roster. Barring was on a roster, Panic Gaming, but I don't know what the current situation with that is now. And then I don't know what Rudy's doing either. So right, that roster definitely made the upset that they were looking for. One other thing I wanted to mention is where's the game at? It's this one. This is the saddest shit ever. Like, it was Two-Face versus Investigation File. These are both Challenger League teams. Investigation File went up 5-1 on attack of Cafe, and the Cafe maybe is becoming more attacker-sided than it was in the past, but it's still, about even or whatever, maybe a little bit defender-sided, whatever, however you want to call it. But they went up 5-1 on attack. Like, that's not easy on most of the maps. And then one of their players' power went out, and they had to forfeit. They were going to win this map, more than likely, right? Oh, so sad. And maybe they could have gone pretty far, because Two-Faced, who, I mean, at the time, Investigation File were making look pretty silly, went 7-5 to Parabellum. They almost went to overtime, and since they almost went to overtime, they almost maybe won the map. So, maybe it would have been an Investigation File winning this whole thing rather than Parabellum if this unfortunate circumstance had not arisen. Yeah, not too much else to talk about. Maybe, I'm not sure if I mentioned it. All of these, of course, are best of one if you can't tell, and then the semifinals and the final were best of 3 maps. So, and all of them actually went all 3 maps, so that's cool to see. The results here, not terribly close. Any of the maps actually, a 7-3s and a 7-2. And then this one, not especially close either. No overtime going on here, and also no overtime here. So Yeah, not maybe the most exciting, but the two Parabellum games, they did lose their first map and then come back to win the thing. So, I mean, maybe exciting in that way. And okay, so I'll move on from here and I'll just say one more time, we are looking for one more team to join Parabellum, Mirage, and TSM in the closed qualifier. So let's take a look at Europe now. Okay, so this is also the first open qualifier for Europe. This was played over the course of the weekend, same as the other things, but I think the second one, if I remember right, it's like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I don't remember the dates exactly, but I think not this week. I want to say it's next week on those days, if I'm remembering right. I did a video about it previously, but I just don't recall off the top of my head. You can check that out if you desire. And right, so it was Secret that made it through, and this is maybe a little bit surprising, maybe not surprising. This is one of the EUL teams, and of course that's a tier 1 team. You expect them to outclass most, if not all, of the non-tier 1 teams. And they will be joining, I think it's Vitality and Kavana in the closed qualifier, and then one more team to be determined. And this is 35 teams, so I don't know what the deal is with this, how this bracket played out with the not divisible by 2 number, but top 64. Weird. So again, this is only going to show the top 32 rounds, I suppose. The rounds of 32 and better. Okay, so some shocking developments here, as you might have heard. G2 Esports fell in their first game against Team Valor, so G2 is absolutely on the struggle bus. Yeah, they were maybe to some people one of the favorites to win this. I mean, just because it's G2 and they're a T1 team and all this stuff. Virtus Pro was in there, and they fell in their second game to Hellraisers, and I think they're from the same region, and Hellraisers is one of the best like CL teams at the moment anyways, and maybe if you are in NA, only watch NACL, it's a whole different ball game over there. I think their CL is a lot more, it's a lot deeper in terms of talent and play and whatever. It's different over there. And okay, then Hellraisers fell to LFO. Don't actually know who this is because they're called LFO. Right, looking at Secret's trajectory, they destroyed. Look, 7-1, 7-0, 7-1, and then 2-0, 2-0. And these were all close maps, though, if you look at it. 8-6 and a 7-5, and then this is also a 7-5 and an 8-7. So definitely close maps, but again, it was 2-0s and then non-close maps. So Secret looking pretty good. They picked up Kendrew not terribly long ago, but they do still need to play their relegation game against, I think, a to-be-determined team. I want to say... actually, I don't want to say because I don't remember which 2 teams it is. And okay, so I suppose that's that, and we'll move on to the final thing, right? So the Brasileiro 2021, and actually I need to go to the finals rather than stage 3. So we had Team Liquid versus Ninjas in Pajamas, and then there were other matches being played in this like little tournament thing, but those were already played out. We just saw the finals this last weekend. So, right, what happened? It was a 3-1 in favor of Team Liquid, which might come as a little bit of a surprise to people. So, Liquid has been very good within their region, and then I suppose also internationally, but not terribly recently. I say that because they did not go to Sweden. They didn't make it to Sweden, but they were the runners-up at SI, and they were one of the highest placing teams at Mexico, and then they just missed out on the one event, but I think it was FaZe Clan that won stage 1, and then Liquid won stage 2, stage 3, and the finals here. So definitely you'd have to say that they were the most dominant team within their region throughout the year. And well, LATAM is just they're just the best region in the world at the moment. It's like, it's not contested. They won everything this year, and they won, as I said before, they won Mexico, and they won Sweden, and they won Six Invitational, and it's not even one team to do it. So all of this that has happened over the year speaks to not only the power of the region as a whole, but the depth of talent within the region. You have Team Liquid, of course, winning several things within the strongest region, but then you have them doing pretty well internationally. They didn't win anything, but again, they're like top 4 at Mexico, second place at Six Invitational. You have Team 1, maybe surprising people at Six Invitational, and then winning at Mexico, and then going out a little bit early at Sweden, but still, decent result. And then you have FaZe Clan, who did pretty well at Six Invitational, and then they were the best team in stage 1 for LATAM, and then they missed out on Mexico, but they won Sweden. And then Ninja Pajamas, of course, won Six Invitational and were the runners up in Sweden, and then had a lackluster performance, you would definitely say, at Mexico. So most of the teams had at least one faltering, but they've all had impressive results, all these top 4 teams. And then even like Furia have proven themselves to be a very good team, and then MIBR, they've been up and down, maybe more down as of late, but as you see here, they did 2-0 Team 1 in the quarterfinals of this, but like I think they were third place or whatever at SI this year, but then they missed out on the 2 majors. But again, so maybe on a little bit of a comeback considering they beat the Mexico champions here, and then even took a map off Liquid, the eventual winners, but it was not enough. Basically, and lost to Ninja Pajamas here. This was a rematch from what we just saw Sweden, so not even that much time had elapsed, but in the end, it was Team Liquid that came on top of the last regional event of the year for the strongest region in Siege, so good on them. And I guess I'll just look at the results here really quickly. Yeah, no overtime, so it looked like maybe Ninjas would take it after this first one. 7-3, fairly decisive win, but then 7-4, 7-3, 7-2, so after whatever happened, Liquid just started to run away with things. So, and they probably feel really good to end, maybe not a disappointing year, but it can definitely be disappointing to make it as far as they did in a lot of events and then not win them, especially SI, and then also Mexico. But, it's got to feel good to go out on a win against the teams that were taking all these titles away from you. So they all won a little something, all 4 of these teams, but Liquid will still be looking to win an international title. And I suppose in the past they have won an international title, but that was a different roster and like a long time ago. So, okay, right. That is everything I wanted to talk about, but I did say I would look at the SCS game. So let's look at that just really quickly. So, right, once again, matches starting on December 6th, which is today, and we have One Shot versus Eclectic, and we have Aerial Rise versus Achieve. So I think Eclectic and Achieve were both teams that qualified in the first qualifier, and then One Shot and Aerial Rise were both teams that were invited from CL. So, and these were the other 2 top 3 teams, along with Parabellum from CL. So we'll see how this goes. I think this first one might be quite a good game, but I also think it's possible that One Shot runs away with it. They're looking quite good at the moment. It seems like only Parabellum is better than them in terms of T2 teams. It sort of looks like. So we'll see. And again, I'll just remind you, EST, this is Eastern Standard Time, and 1800, that corresponds to 6 o'clock. So that'll be 3 o'clock on the West Coast and 6 o'clock on the East Coast, and then whatever other time for whatever other time zone you may live in. And so be sure to check that out. And then also, what else do we have coming up? I mean, we have the NAL finals and relegation match coming up this weekend. We have the other qualifiers for all the regions for NA, EU, whatever, coming up. And then in January, we have all of the closed qualifiers. And then in February, I suppose we have 6 Invitational. So this might be the off season for the Tier 1 leagues, but it is certainly not an off season for Siege. There is so much being played. Some of it at higher levels than others, but still just a ton to watch if you want to watch. And be sure to watch, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good games coming up from all of these events. So, okay, right. With all of that being said, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments, leave them below, and I will catch you in the next video.